Even if Andrew Yang doesn't get the Democratic nomination, his idea will continue to stick around because it is the next step of what we need to do. This isn't about people being lazy or whatever people want to make it. We need to embrace new ideas, unleash our creativity. People should be allowed to start new businesses, to be able to change jobs when it's not agreeable to their values. This freedom dividend is going to do is just trickle right back up into the economy. But like I said, this is only the first step for the greater civilization that we're going to as we enter this age of Aquarius. Why is Andrew Yang experiencing a media blackout right now? Hi, I'm Thor Sandalwood, and today, that's what I'm going to talk about. So this whole concept of the Yang media blackout occurred to me about a month ago when I saw it trending on Twitter, and at first I thought it was an aberration. Maybe there's not a Yang media blackout, maybe people made mistakes on some of these different polling data that the media is getting, and maybe someone just made a mistake. But then I saw 3 different examples where Andrew Yang has been excluded from a list of 10 different candidates for the Democratic nomination for president. So I got thinking about this because there's an MSNBC graphic that excludes Andrew Yang. There's a CNN graphic that excludes Yang. And there's also an NBC graphic that excludes Yang. So what is this about? Why are people trying to exclude Andrew Yang? And the issue isn't about the man himself. When I thought about this and I thought about my background in astrology, it really came clear to me. Andrew Yang is a man of the future. And there is going to be a rise of the AI and a rise of automation in the future. That is a fact. There's no way around it. And you know what? I'm getting really triggered about what the establishment is trying to do to Andrew Yang. They're trying to hold back his ideas. They're trying to bring us back into the 20th century when we need to go forward. I'm getting really angry with these old ideas. It isn't about tax the rich, tax the poor, tax whatever, jobs, jobs, jobs. This is new thinking. There's artificial intelligence. There's automation, people. Wake up and open your eyes. This stuff is not going away. Andrew Yang has about 3% of the polling in the vote. More than Beto O'Rourke, more than several other candidates that they show in these graphics. So why is it that the establishment doesn't want Andrew Yang's message to get out there? Because that's really what it's about. They don't want his message to get out there. In astrology, and I'm going to be taking an ancient science of astrology and applying it to now and also the future. The government, the establishment, is represented by the archetype of Saturn. Saturn is not proactive. Saturn does not innovate. He's like the old guard, the old regime. The only thing Saturn does is he reacts to things that happen, and usually in a very conservative way, and with glacial slowness, he responds to whatever changes are happening. So we see that the establishment media is promoting candidates kind of with the same old ideas, same old game. Andrew Yang shows up and he has these new innovative ideas which are represented by like the planets the Sun and Mars. Because Mars and Sun are the hot, quick, fast planets. They can create change, they can innovate. There is an establishment. Some people call it the cabal, some people call it the New World Order, some people call it the deep state. This establishment exists. It doesn't want change, it wants things to be the status quo. So Andrew Yang has been raising his voice of alarm. He's trying to warn us about what's going to happen. Automation and AI are coming, they're already here. Jobs are going to be disappearing. And what Andrew Yang is fundamentally asking us as a people, what kind of society do we want? Now, conservatives would definitely just automatically discard his idea about a universal basic income, or Andrew Yang calls it the freedom dividend. They would say, how can we afford this thing? Who's gonna pay for it? And that's true, those are some valid questions. But you gotta remember, we're in this age now, this age of Aquarius that we entered in 2012, where there's a fundamental restructuring of our society. Everything's being restructured and recalibrated for this new energy that's coming in, this new age. Sometimes this transition can take decades or hundreds of years for it to fully manifest where we're going. Now, where we've been in the past, say the 20th century. We do not want to go back to 20th century ideas. Look at what happened. Some of the greatest atrocities in the world happen with the old thinking of the 20th century ideas. As we're in the beginning of the 21st century, we need whole new ideas, whole new systems. We can't go back to the old capitalism, socialism debate. We have to completely rethink what it means to be a society. And this is what Andrew Yang is really talking about. He's talking about how do we want to restructure this society? Machines are going to be doing most of the work. People aren't going to be needed on farms anymore. There's not going to be any Uber drivers anymore. All the cars are going to be driverless. The trucks, those are going to be driverless, automated. This is an important thing because this shift to automation and AI can become a blessing on one hand or a curse on the other. If we continue with the old 20th century style of thinking, we will have another era of what happened in the early 20th century with the robber barons, when they controlled all the trains, the oil, the coal industry. And there was only a handful of people that owned all of this infrastructure, all this wealth, and all the other people were kind of just trying to get a means to live. And that's when we had the labor movement demanding rights like the 40-hour work week, overtime, all types of things like that we enjoy today. So this is the new industrial revolution that we're going through, and we can't have a repeat of the last century. We have to think in new ways, new innovative ways. The $1,000 a month freedom dividend is not the ultimate solution to all this. What it is when we're going and transitioning into this new age, it's a step in the right direction. We're gonna have to get there through steps. But let me tell you what the future has for us. The future is that we're going to have a moneyless society. The issue is how we get there. Is it gonna be painful, difficult, or are we gonna have a smooth transition? And that's up to all of us as a collective consciousness. This transition is happening, it's just how we're going to get there. This is going to be the new Earth. We could actually live in a Star Trek type civilization, as David Wilcock says. With the automation and the AI doing most of those labor intensive tasks and menial work, humans could be allowed to rise to their gifts, their talents, and share it with humanity. But it's going to take new leaders with new thoughts to put forth this new philosophy that's going to lay the groundwork for this new civilization that we're entering. So right now we're experiencing the dissolution of many old structures. For the last 6 months, we saw Saturn going retrograde in Sagittarius. And K2 was also conjunct Saturn, that whole transit, for several months. And what is the archetype meaning of that? It's the dissolution of old structures, the dissolution of old thinking. And we're seeing that what's happening right now. Everything that's happening right now, we're seeing some uptick of violence. All this is helping to raise awareness, raise our consciousness, because we got to make changes. We got to make changes of how we are. We got to become a more peaceful and loving society, people that care about one another, people that love one another. And the main thing is practicing what's known as karma yoga. Karma yoga is selfless service, and we will become the greatest civilization, greater than we can ever imagine, if we all embrace this concept of selfless service. And I myself am not a saint in this. I'm learning just like every one of you. I'm learning how to implement this idea of selfless service to raise all of our vibration, because we're meant to be a lot more than just base level animals with desires. We're spiritual beings, and these bodies that we have are just vehicles to help us learn and raise our consciousness. See, something like greed, which has ruled us a lot, still affects us today and in the past. Greed comes from fear and survival. Those are old animal instincts that we all have. The fear that we won't survive if we don't hoard enough things. And that's why we have people out competing and competing and competing. Michael Tellinger, with his Ubuntu movement, he has a great idea of, instead of thinking of a competitive society, what we need to do to change our thinking is think of contributionism. How do we contribute our times and our talents and do so out of love and caring for our communities? That's the new civilization that we're entering in. But there's going to be hiccups along the way. So this is really what I want to get you guys to know, is that the reason Andrew Yang is being censored in the media is there's people in the establishment that are very scared of this change, because they're scared to lose their power. They're scared to lose their grip of financial power, political power, and everything else that they have. So they need to try to censor somebody like Andrew Yang, who has new innovative ideas for the steps that are leading us to this greater prosperity. Because this is the beginning of the global prosperity funds that are going to be released to help everybody. Even if Andrew Yang doesn't get the Democratic nomination, his idea will continue to stick around because it is the next step of what we need to do. This isn't about people being lazy or whatever people want to make it. We need to embrace new ideas, unleash our creativity. People should be allowed to start new businesses, to be able to change jobs when it's not agreeable to their values. All this freedom dividend is going to do is just trickle right back up into the economy. But like I said, this is only the first step for the greater civilization that we're going to as we enter this age of Aquarius. And you guys, tell me what you think. Comment down below. Love it, hate it, please make some comments. I love to answer those for you. Also, if you like this video, please give it a like and please subscribe. If you're interested in a personal private reading, also you can email me at thor.sandalwood@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.